The story of Billy Cook begins here in West Joplin, where he lived until the age of 5 when his mother passed away. His father struggled with alcoholism and dropped the kids off at a local mine, abandoned them there. Most of the kids were adopted out, but Billy, due to some anger issues and other things, actually floated through the foster system for quite a while. Billy was in and out of trouble with the law for quite some time in his youth and actually spent some time in the Missouri State Penitentiary. After getting released from the Missouri State Penitentiary at the age of 21, Billy briefly reunited with his father. And he told his dad that he wanted to live by the gun and roam. And Billy shortly thereafter left and went to California and drifted around for a while and came back to Texas. And that was where his crime spree began. He had kidnapped an auto mechanic and stole his car and threw the man in his own trunk, the trunk of his own vehicle. The man was able to work his way out of the trunk, and as Billy slowed down to go around a corner, he actually hopped out of the vehicle and made his escape. Unfortunately, the next group that picked up Billy wouldn't be nearly as lucky. The Mosser family, Carl, Thelma, and then Ronald, Gary, and Pamela Sue, they were traveling across country to see family in New Mexico when they picked up Billy. Billy had just recently purchased a .32 caliber snub-nosed pistol and was quickly able to take control of the situation. Over the next 3 days, Billy and the Mosser family worked their way across country and back toward the Joplin area. At one point, they stopped at a small grocery store just outside of Wichita Falls, Texas, and Billy and Mr. Mosser went into the store. And once inside, Carl took the opportunity to try to get the attention of the clerk and started yelling and begging for help. Billy assured the clerk that Mr. Mosser was just hallucinating and that everything was okay. The clerk felt the whole thing was a ruse to set up an opportunity to rob the store, reached below the counter and pulled out a shotgun and ordered both men to leave. It wasn't until the next day that the clerk reached out to the local police to let them know what had happened. The Mosser car made its way back to Joplin, and as it came into town, it crossed paths with a police vehicle, and the family did everything that they could to try to get the attention of the officer, but they weren't successful, and shortly thereafter, Billy opened fire on the family. After killing the family, Billy took the bodies and dumped them in a mine shaft just back here in this tree line, along with their family dog. Billy then took their family vehicle and headed west again, this time making it out to just outside of Tulsa, where he dumped the blood-stained vehicle and then continued on. Billy kidnapped a police deputy and stole the patrol car there, later allowing that deputy to be set free. Billy moved on and continued toward California, kidnapping again, and this time Robert Dewey was the victim's name, and Mr. Dewey drove Billy all the way to California, and once arriving in California, Billy at that time killed Mr. Dewey. After killing Robert Dewey, Billy continued into Mexico, where after an extensive manhunt, he was captured. Billy was tried for the murders of the Mosser family and received a 300-year sentence. He was then tried for the murder of Robert Dewey and received the death penalty. On December 12th of 1952, after a last meal of fried chicken, french fries, peas, and pumpkin pie, Billy was led to the gas chamber and was executed. After his execution, a funeral director from Comanche, Oklahoma, Glenn Boydston, called out to the family and offered to bring the body back, with one exception, and that would be that he could perform a small service in Comanche before bringing the body all the way back. The family, not having the money to get the body back on their own, agreed to allow this to happen. Mr. Boydston's small service didn't turn out to be exactly what he promised. The body lay in an open casket for 3 days, and Mr. Boydston allowed curiosity seekers to come see the infamous spree killer. It said in the 3 days that the body lay in state that 15,000 people actually came by to see the body of Billy Cook. After the family found out exactly what Boydston was doing, they obviously were very upset and demanded that the body be delivered immediately. The body was brought to the Durfelt funeral home just across the border in Kansas, in Galena. It said that the only cemetery that would allow Billy to be buried near their property was here at the Peace Church Cemetery, again on the west side of town, less than just a couple miles away from Billy's boyhood home. They had one exception though, and that was that Billy couldn't be buried inside the footprint of the cemetery, and that it would be an unmarked grave. On December 17th, 1952, the family came out late at night and approximately 9 p.m. and held a brief 10-minute ceremony for Billy. The Cook family does have a plot including the remains of his mother here, and then over here we have his father's headstone. Although we don't know for sure where Billy was laid to rest, I feel that this unmarked grave here next to his father is the actual final resting spot of Billy Cook. Billy Cook has a legacy in pop culture that continued on after his death. In 1953, there was a movie titled The Hitchhiker that was based on the life of Billy Cook. And then later on, Riders on the Storm, the song by The Doors, also contained lyrics related to Billy Cook. So this story was much darker and more sad than the first two that I shared, but all the still part of Southwest Missouri history. I will again share some of the links from my research in the description. Just want to give you that warning that some of the links do share some detailed and graphic descriptions of what happened. So just be prepared for that. But thank you again for watching.